Good afternoon, everyone, and I hope you are all having an awesome Friday. It's me again, Robbie Zialcita, your host in today's live episode of Pocket Mentor. Thank you all for joining us, and welcome and hello to those tuning in via our page, and of course, to our Zoom audience. We are so grateful and honored that you all chose to spend a part of your day to be here and learn with us. So, welcome. If you're new to the page, great. If you've been here for our other videos and other launches for our mentors, great. So, welcome back to those who have been our avid fans here in Pocket Mentor. For those of you who are new to Pocket Mentor, here in this particular platform, our goal is really to be able to empower professionals and even soon to be professionals by imparting values and practical knowledge that are essential to success. We do this through our online learning platform, which features video courses created by industry experts and mentors, just like the two people that you will encounter today. Such as that, you can expect that our content is rich with insights as well as useful tips for a more purposeful and productive daily living. It's a great tool for companies and organizations to help you continuously develop your employees and engage your stakeholders, especially during this time where face-to-face trainings are highly discouraged. With Pocket Mentor, you can maintain connections and cultivate your relationships. Check out web social media sites. So, without further ado, introduce to you our first mentor for today in terms of the topic building resilience. So, first, she is an advertising practitioner for almost 35 years. Yeah, she was 10 years old. So she spent the last decade of her advertising career as the CEO of Publicis Manila. And when she retired in 2016, she became a consultant for the likes of CNN and LCC, which is the biggest retail chain in the Bicol region. She returned to being an employee in 2019 when she joined the Ateneo de Manila University as its marketing and communications director. She is also a part-time lecturer and in-house nutty professor at the Marketing and Law Department of the John Gokong Wei School of Management at the same university. She specializes in managing and mentoring interdisciplinary teams, and as a communications expert, she helps build brands and maintain their health. Everyone, please say a big, big hi and welcome to our life and career mentor, Miss Matec Villanueva.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. Okay, shall we begin? Are we good to go, Robbie?
Yes, we are. Go
Okay,
ahead.
so let me share my screen. Let's get this going. So, hi. So, we're here to talk about being good at resiliency. So, I entitled this presentation, or at least the sharing to getting good at resilience. Okay, so what is resilience? Actually, very simply, it's one's ability to bounce back, okay? And more importantly, to continue to grow despite the difficulties around them. Actually, there's a Japanese proverb that captures this really, really well. And it says, fall down 7 times, get up 8. And so, what are these things? What are these things that require us to be resilient? Well, you can call it adversity, you can call it challenges, you can call it stress, you can call it trauma, or even tragedy. Now, what's the thing about all these things? Well, they're unpredictable. And because they're unpredictable, what do you do to prepare for them? Now, how do you prepare for something unpredictable? Well, you're supposed to build good habits. Okay? Habits are because it's a habit. When something untoward happens, it's like a second. It's a reaction. It's a knee jerk reaction that you already know. So building good habits is really one way of actually preparing for the unknown. Now, it's easier said than done. As we human beings, we're actually multidimensional. We're made up of a lot of things. We're not single dimensional. We're just not physical. We're a lot of things. Okay, we're physical. We're spiritual, intellectual, emotional, and because of that, even the way we project ability to bounce back should be seen as multidimensional. Okay, and having said that, okay, our resilience can be seen different ways. So your resilience or our ability to bounce back can be categorized according to physical resilience, emotional resilience, mental resilience, emotional resilience, social resilience, intellectual resilience, financial resilience, and even spiritual resilience. Now, I'll give you very quickly a couple of tips so that, and we can discuss them later when I'm done, or when I am done, and when Coach with this presentation. So let's go to getting good at physical resilience. It's actually very simple. You just really need to be healthy, and know what it takes to be physically healthy. You build your stamina and endurance. I mean, how are you going to be able to bounce back if you're weak? You build your stamina and your endurance, have a moderate aerobic activity. I mean, walk 30 minutes a day. Do that 5 days a week. Minimum requirement ka ng 150 minutes of moderate aerobic activity. You build you do your plank, you do your lunges, you do your push-up, you do sit-up, 3 times. Eat more for wellness. I didn't say eat more, period. I mean, you have to put it in the wellness. Cut down on the processed food, eat more veggies. Sorry, I sound like your mom. Eat carbohydrates and protein very moderately. And please, 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 get a lot of sleep. 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep is really, really important. Now let's go to mental resilience. How do you get good at being mentally resilient? Well, it always pays to think positive. The other thing that helps become mentally resilient, okay, is to recognize and manage anxiety. You have to, accept that, okay, I'm getting anxious, and what do you do? Okay? And there are a lot of exercises for that. You count 1 to 8 slowly and all that other stuff. I like to also say this, that the other way of being good at mentally resilient is to learn the art of dead man. For the foreigners out there, dead man means the art of ignoring. There are some things that you have to learn how to ignore. And that helps in your mental resilience. The other thing is you should learn to balance between dreams and goals so that you don't get frustrated. You see, one of the things that actually uh, becomes a source of stress is actually frustration. It's not even external. It's actually an internal thing. So if you're able to balance between dreams and goals, then you're actually able to manage frustration. And then don't overload yourself. A lot of people just take on necessarily like they cannot breathe. So it actually affects them. How do you get at being good at emotional resilience? Well, recognize your emotion, recognize the feeling, feel it, but continue to manage it. Okay? Because no one else can manage it but you. Turn to creativity, imagination, even playing a game. Yeah, sometimes you almost have to distract yourself in order for you to just get that breather. Other thing about good being emotionally resilient is resolving conflicts. You know that a grudge really erodes your resilience. So never feel bad about anyone. Never say that it's okay, but actually it's not. Resolve things immediately. This one is my favorite. Never regret anything. Sure, you made a mistake. Sure, it wasn't the right thing. But don't regret it. Because what you get out of it is really learning. So never regret anything. learn to move on, and more importantly, learn to move forward. Here's another favorite of mine. You have to balance between self-confidence and self-awareness. Some people are too confident, they become arrogant, okay? Absolutely have no idea of awareness. You have to be able to balance yourself, your confidence with your awareness. And you have to learn the difference between assertive and aggressive. Okay, you know, some people actually get bullied only because they're afraid of being aggressive. When in fact, there is you're dealing with people or with friends that you almost have that you have actually have to assert yourself more, and it's not necessarily being aggressive. And then let's go to social resilience. What are the tips there? Well, make sure that you build a supportive network. Always be grateful. Practice more compassion. Be more empathetic, and go from yours to them or to others. Now, the next two resiliencies a little tricky, not really tricky, but you know, it's something that we need to understand better. And I'd like to talk about intellectual resilience. What is it? Well, you know, to be able to actually solve a problem, you actually have to have you can't solve it by yourself. The best ideas come from a discussion with people. Okay? And when you have that discussion, then you get all the great ideas. Now, what's intellectual resilience? This is the ability to think productively with diverse thinkers. This means you're able to engage in a productive debate in order to come to a solution. I notice a lot of young people have a hard time being told that what they think is not necessarily it, and they get very touchy when their ideas are rejected. You have to understand it's not that you're wrong, but there's probably there's another point of view there. Okay? And therefore, that's a measure of your intellectual resilience. If you're able to productively mingle and engage with people, with other people who have different views on things. So when you do intellectual resilience, one of the things I will give is eyes on the prize. It's not about you. It's about the solution. It's about coming up with a solution to the problem. So you must practice the way to practice intellectual empathy is to be more open to the other and to practice humility, which actually means to think differently. And now let's go to the second to the last, which is financial resilience. This is the ability to financially cope and manage sudden fall in income or unavoidable increase in expense. So, you know, pay cut, terminated, or suddenly, somebody gets sick, and somebody in the family gets sick, and then you have to pay for the exorbitant hospital bills. Here's my tip. How much you're making, save 10% of the income in a bank. Even if you're a student, you have an allowance, save 10%. In my head, that's still, that's income. Keep a low debt to ratio income. What does that mean? Whatever your monthly income is, it should be higher than the monthly payments you're making. Okay, so make sure if you're making $10,000, you don't have a monthly debt of 12,000, because the deficit will just build over time. When you get a windfall, suddenly, oh my God, somebody gave you money, or your boss gave you a bonus from nowhere. Set it aside as an emergency fund. Like what I said, you'll never know when it actually happens. Get yourself insured. Okay. Let's make it clear. I'm not an insurance agent, but frankly, why the younger you are, the better. The earlier in your life, the better. That's because the premium is much lower. So you need to learn to invest. And if you don't know how to invest, by all means, get some professional. Last, spiritual resilience is the ability to bounce back from adversity with the objective of sustaining one's sense of self and sense of purpose. And how do you do that? You actually use a set of values, beliefs, and principles. It's not necessarily related to religion, but it's really about things that you believe in. So what are the tips? Actually, a quiet time to practice meditation 3 times a week is good. I personally like swimming as an exercise because it's very quiet. Wala kang kausap sa and so that actually gives me a lot of quiet time. So that I'm able to combine exercise and meditation by doing swimming. Actually, discerning or trying to figure out difficult situations through prayer really works. And yes, I do this. I try to be once a year. So with that, resiliency is really about coherence and trying to gain a sense of balance. And like what I said, it's all about building good habits. And what do you do with habits? You have to practice it. Why? That's because the more you sweat in practice, the less you bleed in the battle. Thank you very much, and I'll take your questions later. Thank you, Robbie.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Matec. I was actively taking for later. Thank you so much for the insights. They were short and sweet and well robust, powerful. Yes, I know, guys. You want to field your questions, but right now we'll move on first to our next. Us, I'm sure after he starts talking, all of you will have even more questions, and we are going to do our best to take on those questions. So up next he is the currency and program director of Philippine Habagat Baseball. He is also a sports commentator, analyst, and writer, having witnessed and attended various local and international sporting events. He recently became a columnist for Manila Standard, having been part of the sports industry for most of his life, and being a multi-sport athlete himself. He has successfully brought and coaching expertise to guide not just young athletes, but also professionals. With his personal philosophy that sports models life, he believes that the journey is more important than the outcome. Let's all give a warm welcome and a hello to our collaboration mentor, Coach Mike Ochosa.
Thanks, Robbie. Uh, that was a mouthful. But thank you very much. Um, just to also set the tone for my portion, I just also wanted to add a little more about myself, and I'd like to match that with the background of the people actually here in our Zoom meeting today. No, but just to complete the picture for you, uh, my name is Michael Chosa, and my background really is not sports. My background is in general management, particularly in marketing. But my passion is in sports. I guess that sets the tone for the discussion this afternoon. Um, Also, I think more relevant perhaps is the fact that, like some of you here in this meeting, I am also a husband and I have a wife, so I have a loving wife and a husband to her. Um, I am also a father to a young lady and a young man whose ages are, I would assume, the same as most of you here today. I too was young once, and I too had dreams and ambitions. In fact, I still have some dreams and ambitions. Like you, I also had my doubts and my concerns. I also had my uncertain times, but thank God, I have also had my victorious moments. So this afternoon, what I'd like to do is share with you today, hoping that whoever you are, wherever you are in your life today, I might add some value to it. And just to complete the introduction, this is not a one-way street. If I may ask, um, I'd like to know a bit about you guys. If I may ask everyone, I don't know, Rachel, whoever's doing the technical stuff is going to be challenged. But I'm going to my gallery, and if most of you can open your videos, I just like to ask some questions, and I'd like to know who I'm talking to. If you can't open your video, use the emoticon or turn your unmute yourself so I can hear. So I just like to ask some questions. I'll know who I'm talking to. Is that okay, guys? Can you turn on your cameras or say something, unmute yourself? All right, I'm on gallery view, so I can see most of you. Yeah, yes, okay. The first question, I just want to know who among the thousands of people listening to us right now, who who here is an athlete? Come on, raise your hand. An athlete. I mean, you competed. You're an athlete. Good. Galaxy, I see your hand. Anybody else? You can talk. It's fine. Use the emoticon, thumbs up, whatever. Right. So keep your hands up. Those who are athletes. Those who did not raise their hands or did not answer affirmatively, who here considers themselves as an athlete? Okay ba yun? Those are two different questions. So there's the athlete, there's the real athlete, and there are those who consider themselves athletes. Okay? Third question. If you did not put your hand up to those two first questions, here's the lady. Diba? Kahit anong sport, kahit patintero. Sorry, the foreigners out there, even if it's like, you know, may katumbas bang patintero? So, sorry, but,
Parang
you know,
wala.
if you play cops and robbers, right? That's
Hopscotch, I think.
Hopscotch is piko.
Right. So, if you still have not raised your hand, okay, next question. Who here has at least played or competed in anything? Right? So I guess most of us. Okay, because if any of you have yet raised your hand, man, you've been living under a rock. In this life, we've at least competed once in our life. So you see, guys, okay, I get out of gallery. You now go back to speaker. Okay. You see, guys, sports or any form that pushes you to be a better version of yourself should be a wellspring of lessons. Lessons that I think one can use in other aspects of your life. So today, I'd like to speak to you about resiliency. I am sure, as Matec defined it a while ago, we have the same definition of what resilience is. Especially now, it's a timely subject because given what the world is going through right now, the pandemic, just to be precise, it is an additional source of pressure. Listen, over the different challenges we all have to face now in our own lives. So aside from our daily situations, we now have to contend with a worldwide problem. So there is more pressure on each one and each organization that you guys represent. So what is resilience? For purposes of our discussion, resiliency can be defined as our ability to cope, to overcome challenges or changes that come our way. But just like what Matek said, it is not a point in time. You get to a point where you become resilient. But really, the insight is this: resilience presupposes a period of preparation. The beginners, the resiliency is attained when one, the substance of the thing or the person, in this case us, is made of material that easily springs back into shape. Okay? The second, resiliency is attained when the structure by which the thing is built on is such that it can withstand certain types of possible changes. So, resilience is attained when the purpose of the thing greatly determines its resiliency level. So, before I move forward, just to set the tone, so it is a process. It is not resilient. You have to work towards that moment you become resilient. So, let me for you as a guy afternoon. I will say a common phrase in sports. The way to be resilient is to play on. Now, I am going to use the acronym play on, which is there you go, play on. Use an acronym so that when you leave this afternoon's talk, you will have you have what this word, these two words that you will bring, but it means something. So let's start with the letter P. Letter P in play on stands for pray. Now, let me frame that. Next slide, please, so we can move to the word pray. I know that you guys, when you watch a tournament, or even yourself, you guys have said you've competed already. Every athlete and team turn to their huddle and pray before every game. You see that all athletes do that. In the game of life, may I suggest, this is always the best first step. You see, a prayer is a declaration. A prayer is a statement of what you desire. But more importantly, it begins with an acceptance of your need. You identify a shortcoming. You for something you have. It is not between where you are and success. Because when you pray, you're asking for something. So it puts you in a position of humility. And humility, guys, believe it or not, pours in blessing. People will come to help because you're open to help. Chances will open up because you're looking for chances. And sooner or later, believe me, you get better. The first step is to pray, pride, and start with a prayer. So let's go to letter L. Letter L stands for looking back at past wins. Okay. When you are looking at an uncertain future, there is nothing clear in front of you, right? Malabo nga eh. That's Tagalog for unclear. All right? It's like driving in the rain, going up a mountain, and there's thick fog in front of you. And for some of us, I don't know what you guys are going through, but for some of us, even organizations, businesses, there looks like there's a brick wall right in front of you. Now, to face that certain uncertainty, you must be armed with the surety that you have what it takes, regardless of what lies beyond the beyond. You cannot move forward without evidence that you can do what you need to do. So, I ask you this. Search your yesterday, similar situation. Remember, and then you got back up. Remember, you were defeated, but you won again. Recall your failures, but more importantly, remember how you finally triumphed. Recall your losses, but remember your victories. Guys, recall your blessings in times of adversity. Athletes rely greatly on past experiences to make themselves better as they progress. You see, we never know what the other team will do, nor how the court conditions will prevail. We are not aware of the strategy of the opponent, nor can we clearly determine how the weather will affect our performance if you play outdoors. But we go and compete armed with the experience that we have succeeded in the past. And we have a belief that we are prepared to do well in the future. That's what you get when you look back at your past wins. Letter A. Align yourself with success. If there's anything you will walk away with today, is this. Resiliency fundamentally begins with making a choice. You can look at your situation and decide to list down all that is wrong. Or you can look at it and inversely note the opportunities that can come out of it. The freedom of choice is one of our most powerful gifts. But you must choose between being positive and negative, good or bad. You must choose. Are you an optimist or are you a pessimist? Let me show this idea. All great competitors are optimists, sometimes to a fault. Right or wrong, that is who they are. Successful athletes all believe they can win despite the odds. Guys, listen. Why even play when you think you will lose? Why play to lose? Sayang lang oras. It's a waste of time. Fill your mind with the right thoughts. Surround yourself with successful people. Keep believing that you have the skills, attitude, and drive to succeed. Successful people are always the half full ones. Letter Y. Yield to the situation. Surrender, many say, is the highest form of victory. I know you guys know this. Those young people here in this group, you have enough experience to know this. Life is made up of seasons and there are ups and downs. Accepting a seemingly damaging situation is not a sign of defeat, as it is more of having a hope that everything will get better. Be strengthened in knowing that whatever you are going through shall pass. So therefore, yielding to adversity is releasing yourself from it. I hope you get that. Yielding to adversity is releasing yourself from it. And by doing so, you will be able to recognize the season and respond accordingly. Letter O. Now that you've surrendered and you're ready as part of the process, you got to open yourself to opportunities. Be open to anything. If the future is unclear, then we are unconfident that what we currently know is useful tomorrow. Let me rephrase that. It is not so much that we don't know what tomorrow brings, as it is our fear that what we know is not enough for tomorrow. So that's really what's bugging us for something that's not sure. Are we equipped for that moment in the future? So today, when you are moving into a situation that's challenging, this is not the time to say no. It is the right moment to take in. Fortunately, it is during the most hostile of times that learning is at its peak. Letter N. You've heard this before. I'll make this part short. Letter N. Never give up. Never, ever, ever give up. Have that GOAT mentality, the greatest of all time mentality, no? Elite athletes are at the top of their chosen sport simply because none of them gave up on their dreams. None. Because they wouldn't be there if they gave up in the process. So giving up should never, never, ever be an option. So that's the breakdown of the word play on. Before I close, um, I just wanna see if you guys got that word play on. So again, one more time, if we can turn on all your audio, I want to hear that from you. Just turn on your audio for a while. Again, apologies to the technical staff. Turn on your audio, unmute, and I will ask you a few questions, and all I need from you is to say play on. I need you to get that. Everybody, come on, unmute. Guys, unmute. I can see all of you. Unmute. Norman, unmute. Diane, Arian, Charmaine, I can see you guys. Unmute. Or even, okay, give me your emoticon. These are the questions. Okay, these are the questions. What do you do? What do you do when the pitcher throws you a curveball? We what?
Play
Leon.
Leon.
What do you do
Leon.
when the defender
Leon.
blocks the shot? What do you do?
Leon.
Leon.
Come on, guys, give me next year. What do you do when the opponent plays again? What do we do?
Leon.
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 What do you do? What do you do? Slip and you fall.
Leon.
Play on.
Leon.
And life will throw you curveballs, guys. They will, your shots will be blocked. Faces will you will trip. Life is full of trials and tribulations, but you need to believe that we are resilient enough to pull through. Another word that also means toughness, which is my last slide. Toughness. You gotta be tough, guys. There are no ifs and buts about being resilient. You have to be tough. It takes time to develop the attributes of resilience, and the best way to be resilient, Robbie, is to keep playing on. Thank you, and God bless all of you.
All right.
Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Coach Vic. Wow. That was I also took some notes here for later because I'm sure our viewers out there have a lot of questions. And with these two speakers, I guarantee you we're gonna have a wonderful time, with all the questions that you have right now. And of course, each of them will be sharing their perspectives on the questions that you give us in terms of resilience, and they will also offer lessons on how to build it for yourselves. So if you still have questions, guys, please, as you will see on the screen right now, there is a QR code. All right, the one on the left is for our Q&A. So just scan it. Okay, get your phone. Everybody has a phone right now. Nowadays everybody has a phone. So get your phone. Just scan it. All right. It's the QR code on the left, and it will lead you to that portal where you can put your questions anonymously. So feel free to send it also through our Facebook live session right now where we are streaming, and just put it in the comment section, and we will field those questions here during this Q&A that we're going to have right now. So thank you so much, Matec and Coach Mike, for your views and for your for your views and for everything that you shared with us right now. And I think that, well, now we're going to go to the questions, and I'm sure we have some questions already. Yes, we do. We already have questions from our participants. And are you guys ready to answer these questions right now? All right, I got the thumbs up. Go. So, what are your top 5 things to do when you feel overwhelmed and very stressed? So let's start with Matec.
I push back. I actually take a walk. Okay, so that's what I usually do. And then I just push back it because like what I practice what I preach. So like the everyday workout, I do that every day. I wake up, I exercise, I eat well. So most I do is just, there's no top 5. I just push back and walk away, get distracted, and then come back. Because things have to be done. Things have to be finished. Diba?
Yep.
I'll give an example. When I found out that my first son was autistic, when the doctor told me that my son was autistic, that was a major blow to me. First thing I did was cry. I cried for 5 minutes. I wiped away my tears, and then I said to the doctor, okay, so what do we do? So, yeah. I give, like what I said, I've given to the emotion, I give into the stress, I give into the, so I'm tired. You're tired, lie down.
True.
Diba? Take a nap. When I'm working, I'm sleepy, I'll nap. I'll take that nap. Even in the office, before I'd close the door, I'd nap. I take my 10-minute nap and then I give into it. That's what I do.
All right.
No, I don't go shopping. That's more stressful. No, some people shop. I don't shop. That's more stressful.
I think a lot of people do that nowadays online.
No, I don't. Kasi then later, problemahin ko yung pambayad. No, lang.
Correct. That's correct. How about you, Coach Mike? What do you do?
Well, yeah, the first P to play on. That's always the first thing that I do. When really overwhelmed and really very stressed, I pray. I started the prayer. Um, Next step is to step back. I started scheduling my priorities because you are well, at least in my own experience, when you are in control of your time, no one owns your time. So you have the ability to say no, you have the ability to say yes, you have the ability to put it off, or you have the ability to do what you need to do immediately. But me, I step back, I schedule my priorities after a prayer. Third is I hold on to the decision if I need to make a decision. But I still know I will have to make a decision, which is between holding the decision and deciding, there is this process in between. I try to respond, Robbie, rather than to react.
Right.
I try to respond rather than to react. So when I step back, I get time to be able to really look at the situation, or in sometimes in the cases, no matter the person who gives you stress. It's not always the situation,
Yeah,
right?
that's why sabi ko nga practice the art of dead man. Dead man.
Yes. Yes.
Ignore.
So rather than jump into a decision, I go back, I I make sure that I will respond, and then I decide because I know that I still need to decide.
Right. I like that. And I like that the art of dead man. Nowadays, I think it's called meh. Art
Yeah.
of meh.
Duh. You just go,
Or duh.
duh.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Matec and Coach Mike. I'm going to collapse two questions here because I feel that they are similar. And so it says here that I find it hard to forgive myself for past mistakes that I've done. How do I move forward? And what are your practical tips if you have, sorry, not that one. Where did that question go? I'm really sorry. The question's kind of shifted. So I think that's the one question. So how do you forgive yourself for past mistakes that you've done? And how do you move forward, in that? The feeling of that regret, feeling of because I know that I think Coach Mike, you said that relive, go and look at your past wins, but many times we tend to look at our past mistakes more often than our wins. So what would you tell someone, who's going through that? Coach Mike, let's start with you.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah. So having difficulty forgiving yourself for the past mistakes. Number one, who who is not forgiving you? That's the first question, right? It's yourself. So as I said a while ago, the most powerful gift that we actually have is the freedom of choice, and we can choose to forgive ourselves because we owe it to ourselves to do better in the future. So having that mindset, these are the three things. One, can't change. Can't change the past. You can just learn from it. Number two, then you forgive yourself. You can change the past. You can change the past. And then three, love yourself so you move forward with a positive mindset. Because at the end of the day, if you let your old self take care of your future self, then there will be no self that will be left.
Mhm.
So that's the process. You make your decision first and say, you know what? It's a mistake. I'm done. I'm sorry. Say sorry to yourself, and then forgive yourself, and then move forward. I know it's not easy when we talk about it. Try it. Try it in the small things. When you get to the bigger things, you can actually do it also.
All right. Thanks. Thank you, Coach. Matic,
Um,
what are your thoughts?
I actually discussed this earlier. I said I don't like regrets. Okay. And what I said there was the way to manage it, I think, is to think positive. And how do you do that? You actually look at the mistake and say, okay, how do you think positive? What did I learn?
Yeah.
Diba? Even as a child, what did you learn? You touch a piece, you touch flame. But first thing, you're never gonna touch that again because it's painful, diba? So it's the same thing. Things that hurt you, you really have to figure out What did I learn? Okay, so and once you've learned it, once that and then so because once you've learned it, you kind of feel good. You start to say, okay, so I learned that. That's the positive side. And then you always have to remember that nobody is, walang kakampi sa'yo kung hindi sarili mo. Nobody is going to cheer on Team Matec except Matec. Nobody's gonna cheer on Team Robbie except Robbie. So, oh my God, what do you do with that? So it's, to me, forgiving yourself is a choice. To clearly choose that. And the way to choose that and the way to distract is, what did I learn? There's always something there. There's always a nugget. I promise you, there's always a nugget there. You just have to look for it. And I think, and I'm hoping that when in the process of looking, you actually start to feel good. You start to feel good about yourself.
Right. Yeah. I like that. I want to tie it up shared a while ago, Matek, in terms of habits. I think that in being resilient in the way that you look at your failures, or those are and how what you learn from them. That's a habit. It's
It's a habit.
something that we have to build over time, and I like that it takes practice to be resilient. You don't just suddenly wake up and say, great, I'm resilient. Right.
It's
Right.
not a talent. Sorry, it's a skill.
It's a skill. Yes.
It's a actually have to build it.
Yeah. All right, great. Here's another one. I want to go to this one. And it also ties up with another question about managing teammates. So what is the best way to encourage others to be resilient as well, given that we are all in different situations and stages in our lives? Give a little bit more. Aside from the now norm we are experiencing in terms of, we're all physically, there's also managing resiliency across generations, right? Because you may still have the baby boomers, the Gen Xers, and then the Gen Ys, right? The Gen Zs are just about to probably get into the workforce, but that's the mix sometimes. So how do you encourage others to be resilient given situations? Matek, we'll start with you.
I think the older generation, it's your responsibility to teach the younger ones. Like we said, diba? Resilience is something you learn, something you build over time, diba? And therefore, really, if part of the mentoring of any supervisor is to pick them up, diba? And the idea of empathy and compassion. Just because you're compassionate and empathetic doesn't make you weak.
Right.
I think empathetic leadership and compassionate leadership is actually requires a lot of strength.
Agree.
Kasi it's draining, di ba? Kasi in your head, gusto mo na siyang batukan, pero hindi mo muna babatukan, di ba? Kasi you kind of have to understand the position they're in, di ba? You have to put yourselves in their position. I mean, you have to be able to contain your emotions, say, okay, you're a bit disappointed with the result, but what was that? Was that intentional, or was that just because of the circumstance? And at the back of your head is a deadline. I know how it feels. You're thinking about deadline, but at the same time, you have to feel. So, to me, my recommendation is for the older generation to to play the mentor, to play the coach, and to the younger generation, makinig naman kayo. Diba kaya nga sila nandun eh. Kasi dadating din kayo doon, pero in the meantime, makinig naman kayo. Kasi hindi naman nila ginagawa yun dahil nabobobohan sila sa inyo o nagagalit sila sa inyo, di ba? They're doing it because it's a team. Nobody wants to be the weakest link.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's my 2 cents worth.
Okay.
Coach
Mike.
Yeah. I want to agree first with what Matec said. The characteristic of the ability to understand, to love, if
Mhm.
I can put that word there, is our characteristic of strength. Sound soft? No, but they need courage and strength to be able to do that. And I think I will focus on those three to answer this question. You encourage others by knowing who they are. You encourage others by knowing what they want. The the value of experience, and between the three of us, I'm sure we have a lot of experience dealing with people, is that there are common things regardless of when you were born, right? There are common wants and desires in each person's heart that is there regardless of what year you were born. There is the need to succeed. There is the need to be accept, the desire to be part of a team. All these things, if we are able to understand that at the level of where the person we're dealing with is coming from, then encouraging them should be second nature because now we know how to speak to them, which gets to the second point. Once you know, communication is important, and you communicate by two things: by words and by action. People say actions speak louder than sometimes words speak louder than action. So
Right.
you gotta know how to balance that. But first, I go back and I reiterate the strength traits of being able to empathize, understand, and to be able to people. If you don't have that, don't even try encouraging people. You'll just destroy them more. Diba? You don't have that because you don't care for them. And
Right.
that itself is the strength that you need.
I like that. And in terms of generations and building that connection, the empathy, the love for others. Yes, you're allowed to say that word here. For me also, it's really about being genuinely interested in people, right? That when we're part of a team, whether it's a corporate team, sports team, or family, it's to really be invested in knowing more or knowing more about the other person and understanding the other person. And this help us, navigate through all of that. Okay, let me have another question here. Um, here, how's this? What would you advise for overthinking and not knowing what career path to pursue for those in their early 20s? That can be a little bit, that's difficult, right? So what do you think? I saw Matec. I think you were kind of raising your hand, or were you hitting your head? So go ahead. You can go ahead.
Guys,
What are your
umpisahan
thoughts on
natin.
this?
Guys, let's start with taking out the word over. You know
Yes.
exactly the problem. You knew it. You say, what do you do when you overthink? Don't. Just don't. Right? Uh, okay. You over because you want to make sure it's foolproof. Sorry, how life works. Okay? Really, at the end of the day, there will always be a risk. The most you can do is try to minimize the risk. So it really depends on what, exactly because it depends on how much. Remember this is used in sports and in workouts. No pain, no gain.
Hmm.
The best, the most gains is really when you go through the pain. I swear, I can say that. I can really, really say that. Because I've been there. Sabi nga ni Ate Vilma Santos, been there, been that. Okay? I've been there and I've done that. Okay? So I know exactly what it is, to go through pain, to try it and say, okay. So it's just that don't overthink it. And here's what I say about people are always looking. You actually know what your purpose is. Sometimes, you know what? Sometimes you just need a little quiet time because you have so much thing in your head. You don't hear anymore that voice.
Hmm.
Believe me, there is a voice that tells you direction. So, so many things, that little voice doesn't come out.
Hmm.
So maybe, I would suggest quiet time, discernment. I thing from the Jesuits about discernment. Eh. Sabi niya, sabi ng mga Jesuits, discernment is not choosing between right or wrong or good or bad. It's always choosing between good things, just opting for the best. And that's why I said earlier, discern with prayer. Because when you pray, you should actually be quiet. And then maybe the voice will speak to you. There. That's
All right.
Nanaloka ako sa over.
Oo nga, no? Tama. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Coach.
There's so many ways. There's so many ways to answer this question. Whoever asked, and you want to have a talk, let's talk. No? But basically, my simple reply is, everyone has gifting. I'm sure when all of us were growing up, there was something that seemed so easy to do that every time that you move away from it, pull back. There's a gifting inside of you. There's a skill, a talent that has been placed in you that you know, even with your eyes closed, you can actually do it. There are things that you don't study. I'm sure you know classmates who are so good in mathematics that you already like struggle too much, and then they still come up with 100 every perfect scores all the time. Or those who sing very well, or those who dance very well, or are good in science, or whatever. So those are giftings that we all have. So that's the first part of my reply. Look for something that you're passionate about, that you're really good at. Number one. Number two, I think the question is not just about career, because career is about work, right? I think it's a question, what do I do in my life? It sounds tougher to answer, but really easier. Because life is not one-dimensional. Career is one-dimensional. Life is multi-dimensional. You can do things that you are gifted with and enjoy life, but you can still be practical and find a career that you need to be doing. So it's not about passion itself, right? Because you will never be happy if you can't eat, right? But doing what you say you're passionate about. So there is a need to be able to live your life in a way that you know, and that there is a responsibility to be able to take. And that's when, and I agree with Matec, remove the word over, because you already framed your own problem by phrasing the question.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Coach. So we have time for two more questions. So let's have two more questions. But before that, I just want to revisit, like when both of you were sharing your insights to this question, it reminded me of that giving into the emotion that Matec mentioned a while ago. When you said yielding, and that's something that's very important. That number one, we have to that this is the situation, especially right now, and that find something that you are good at, that you can do, and something that you can bring forward in your search for a new job. And mind you, it's not easy nowadays, given the current situation that we are in. So
Yeah.
hopefully that was helpful to you guys. So we have time for more questions. This is sort of like similar to a question a while ago, but there's an added element to it. So the question goes, what are your practical tips if you have mental health issues with self-limiting beliefs? Right? So that it's a little bit different. So Coach Mike, what do you think?
Can you? That's a very deep question. Can you break that down for me? So you're
So
asking if mental that
with
are
the issue is the mental health issue causing the person to have self-defeating beliefs. So what can this person do given that there is this situation?
it's it's funny that you have to ask the question. My reply to that is one. I only have one reply. Turn to God. Turn to God. I can't solve it.
Mm-hmm.
Tough to solve. Only God can do that. I
Right.
think it's if you take it in, create a relationship with Him, you will know you are loved. You will know you have a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
You will know that all these questions about self-defeating questions are non-existent because you have a purpose in this world. Everyone has a purpose, and you have to know where that purpose is coming from. So my simple answer is turn to God and ask for His guidance. I can help you later on. I can point you to the right direction, but I think you have to know that that's where you have to have. Sorry.
All right. Thank you. Matec, your thoughts?
Okay. Well, first, the practical tip is to seek professional help because I never take mental health lightly. Okay.
Yes.
So I would always say professional help now. And then, so what are the practical? So let's go to the practical side. I will ask you to mingle only with people who are positive. Huwag kang sasama sa mga nega kasi nakakahawa sila. Okay? Nega plus nega is nega. It never results to anything bad. Okay? So don't go with people who will say, oh, nga, ang tanga-tanga mo kasi. You know, don't go with people like that. Okay? Then third is, again, I'm a very, I'm such a huge believer of physical fitness. Physical fitness actually is, when you're doing activities, your natural happy hormones secrete rather than you taking all this crazy stuff, di ba? Well, but you need them actually. It's the natural stuff that you do. So those are my practical tips. Stay with people who are positive. Do exercise, please, because it really helps. I promise you, it helps. Eat the right stuff because I also have a theory about mental health. I think it's also aggravated by the kind of food that especially young kids take now. So those are my practical tips.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. So one last question. And so this question also is, how do you set professional goals that align with your personal dreams? So sometimes they might be different, or so how do you make that alignment? So I'll go back to you, Matec, for that.
I don't get it. Why can they not be the same? Well, how is that not the same? So, like for example, your professional goals, be seen, okay? So, what is not aligned with that? Your personal goal. I want to go surfing every day. Is it that? I don't know.
Maybe.
Oh, well, honey, then you have to find money so that you own your own camp, and then you're CEO and you go surfing every day. Let me see. I really want to understand the question, Robbie.
Yeah, unfortunately, there were no specifics to this one since it's anonymous.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a perfect example. Maybe your dream is to one day retire in comfort, like all of us, right? But professionally, maybe you're not seeing that at the moment. Like you're going on a day-to-day thing. So how do you set your goals professionally further so that you can achieve those dreams? Because of course, goals are different from dreams, right?
Sure.
Goals have a deadline, whereas dreams they don't have any deadline at all.
I think I would always turn back to a North Star, and my North Star will always be my set of values. So whatever my professional goals are, professional and personal, I would always look back and see, are they consistent with the values that I cherish? Diba? So for example, am I willing to give up integrity so that I'll be rich and I'll be comfortable? So in my head, my North Star will always be the values that I hold dear, and I will always turn to them. I will always make them the final decision point. I will always say that when push comes to shove, this is something I will never let go.
Mm-hmm.
So ganon. I would. That's how I'd answer.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Yeah, that makes sense actually. Going back to your values, Coach Mike, do you have any thoughts for our last question?
I agree, Matic, the tough question. Again, you have to really dissect that question to understand it. But let me just without pushing it to the side, but let me just read something to that person who asked that question. First of all, you need to understand where you are. You have to have the starting point. Um, Sometimes when people ask me this type of question, it reveals a person not knowing,
Hmm?
not knowing where he should be or not happy where he is. So you have to be content. There there's a life that you live, and there are choices that you have made. Your professional goals have to match your personal desires. I use that with you because if they don't, then there is no reason for you to be in the place where you are in. So the place where you are in is not the right place if those two don't match. But let me end my statement by saying this. At the end of everything, you will always go back to what are the most important to you.
Hmm.
Your professional goals, you may not reach them, but be sure that at the end of your life, there is joy in your heart rather than just all these accolades, these positions, this the money. Just make sure, if I may just leave something to that person who asked the question, make sure that those personal targets of yours is about joy
Right.
and not just things that you accumulate.
Nice. All right. So thank you so much, Matec, Villanueva, and Coach Mike Ochosa. I hope you guys learned a lot because I did too. And at the end of the day, being resilient really is a skill. It's something that you can develop, something that you can work on every day to find that balance and coherence in your life. And if you're having a difficult time right now, just like everybody else, then look for someone who can help you through this. Even if you're the office coach, you need to find someone else to be your coach or to be your mentor to help you through these tough times in order for us to be more resilient every day. And every day is an opportunity for us to grow. Every day is an opportunity for us to learn new things and to connect with people in ways that we've never connected before. So that's a wrap. And unfortunately, our time is up. Well, we've exceeded the hour. It's now 4:15. But I hope that your Friday got even better with today's learning session because, like I said, I personally had a great time. I learned a lot. Like I said, I took some notes. I hope you did too. And watch out for our next event, for our next live session, when we will have two more mentors to speak about their own expertise and their insights and thoughts on the topic that we will have for that day. So we will post details very, very soon. So if you want to know more about Pocket Mentor, our subscription plans and packages, the mentors and their content, or you want a tour of our platform, email us at hello@pocketmentorph.com. I'll repeat, just email us at hello@pocketmentorph.com or send us a message in our Facebook page or our Instagram account or visit our website at www.pocketmentorph.com. That's www.pocketmentorph.com. And we will be in touch with you immediately. So imagine with just the price of your usual entertainment platforms like Netflix or Amazon Prime, you get the chance to learn from top business leaders and industry mentors, just like the two mentors we had today, Matec Villanueva and Coach Mike Ochosa. So once again, thank you so much for being with us this afternoon. The Pocket Mentor video trailer will play right after, so please watch and learn a little bit more. So to everybody, thank you, and I will see you soon. Stay safe.